You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hi everybody, it's Jen King here on The Experience. This is an awesome show, Talkin Shop, where I'm going to interview a couple of people today that have projects that are coming out soon that I want to have on your radar so you do not miss them. So stay tuned. Coming up in just a few minutes, Richard Rivera and Enrica Jane. We'll see you in a second. Today's been a crazy day at the shop. I never know what to expect on Mondays. Sometimes they're like really quiet and sometimes they're crazy, like this morning. I think it might be something to do with the fact that it's hotter than the surface of the sun outside and people want to be inside anywhere that has air conditioning. So welcome to all our viewers. As a reminder, it would be awesome if you subscribed from whatever platform you're watching. And if you liked and shared, that would be super cool. We want to get more people on the show to watch so they can see and support all the awesome creators that we have on here. And to that end, I have my first creator. This is Richard Rivera.
Hi, Jen.
Hello. I'm so excited because we get to talk all Stabbity Bunny all the time.
That excites me too.
Oh, yeah. So are we launched?
We have launched. Yes, indeed. We'll be tomorrow will be 1 week that we will have we've been out there on Kickstarter. It's pretty easy to find ours because it's the first official Scout Comics Kickstarter. So if you go to scoutcomics.com/Kickstarter, it'll take you right to it.
Okay, so to that end, are you guys do you have a new specialty person on staff that's going to be in charge of doing Kickstarter things, or are the creators themselves putting them together?
The creators will be involved every time, of course. Yeah, because but we do have, of course, we got the magnificent Joey Galvez out there, who's going to be helping the social media, just, the extension of what he already does for Scout. And then Nate Johnson will be helping with the graphics and things. Of course, right now, we were kind of the prototype. So a lot of the work done on this particular one is going to carry over into future Kickstarters as well.
Sure. So you're a week in. Have you guys learned anything of consequence about how to, do you have some this thing I need to tweak for next time? Or you're like, it's all perfect the first time around?
It was all perfect. No, there's always something to learn for sure. Also, a shout out to Matt Knowles and Steph Cannon of NSIM fame. They've been helping us out as well. A number of people helped. I won't remember everybody on our list here, but those are another couple of standouts because they have a lot of Kickstarter experience as well. So, but I'd say as far as I think next time, maybe the only thing is be prepped a little bit sooner so that we can, it's just like when you write something in advance and you put it away for a little while and then you come back, you might see it a little differently. But I do have to say that I am pleased with everything that was the final product. I think everybody did their job very well. Joey added a lot of fun stuff to what we knew was just going to be my talking head video, and then Joey came in and prettied it up.
All right. So for anyone that's brand new that has somehow been living under rocks and isn't familiar with Stabbity Bunny, which is I find to be impossible, give people kind of let's start first. What gave you the idea for this? How was Stabbity Bunny born in your brain?
Stabbity Bunny was going to be a lot different when he was first born in my brain because it was going to be centered on the plush bunny who would appear to different children or someone in need, elderly person, etc. Kind of and then it, of course, he would resolve that situation. But it seemed like that was going to get pretty predictable. After a while, it's like how many, you know, how many times can Gilligan try to get us off that island? No, but how many times can Stabby, show up and you're just waiting? Okay, well, we got to see the problem, and then it's going to be resolved, and then where does it go from there? So I took the concept of kind of what Stabby Bunny could be, and instead wrote a completely different, very large story around that, centering on a family um, that, in this case, uh, change the setting completely. Where this family has had Stabby for about 100 years, and they just pass it down to the child of the next generation. Um, so most of the work went into at that point, concentrating on the family. Um, why are they significant? What is the overall problem they've been dealing with? How do we resolve that and still go on from there to the next level? Then it got better or worse, depending on your point of view, if you're having to write all this. Then once that was established, the core of the Stabby Bunny universe, if you will, then wanted to expand that because there were other parts of the story to be told, to kind of encapsulate that as briefly as possible before the show is over. Stabby Bunny, if you want to just think of it this way, exists on the middle part of the Earth. Then Storm Pirates actually takes place, a lot of that in the upper realms above the Earth, being more in the realms of the gods, demigods, etc. Shadow Play, which has already come, the first arc already came out, takes place in the Shadow Realm, and the realms, if you will, kind of metaphysically below the Earth. But all of them star teenagers. Grace will be a teenager in the next arc, and they're all fighting components of an overall bigger picture. And there will be, at some point, after Storm Pirates has been told and the second arc of Stabby has been told, we'll have the three kids from Storm Pirates, the Grace and Stabby, and maybe somebody else from that universe, and then the two Shadow Play, Joy and Bard, will actually form a team, in a not like a Avengers Assemble kind of a team, but a group of people who need to work together to finally resolve the overall bigger picture.
Yeah, so it sounds like, just from what we've seen from the universe, that there is something pretty big in play. That yeah, surely at some point we'll take more than one. Like all things, a group is better to address something that's insurmountable.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of Shadow Play, the splinter aspect of the Shadow King that Bard and Joy faced, who was incredibly powerful, was a shadow of the power of that being. So yeah, overall it's going to be cosmic level kind of a thing, but very intimately told, with all the characters that will hopefully grow up and before us. On Shadow Play, I would say that's the one where I have, working along with Alex Lobato, the co-creator of Shadow Play, really have that one has the most potential arcs, even up into the next generation, of children who will be unnamed, because that would be a big spoiler as far as who they are the children of. But yeah, I'm sure, absolutely. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun at getting issue 12, as as a retailer, was quite the journey. We've been waiting for that for a while, but we wanted to keep the original team, and we've had everything from hospitalizations to volcanoes to all kinds of things impact our team, as the whole world has had things as well. Just a few things going on, but we did manage to keep the entire original team. That team will be changing some for the second arc. Grace will be 16 instead of 7.
I can't imagine it.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very different. The art style will be different. I think more. I hate to say this because then it gets totally different. Totally perhaps incorrect idea, but if you want to think, Riverdale kind of, more teens, high school, bigger problems. Also, you probably noticed the storytelling in Stabity Bunny, be it, Dwayne Biddix's great art style, but it was kind of cartoony and more told from a child's point of view. So the story evolves with Grace, as her point of view and her perspective on the world changes. Since she's not the narrator, but since it is told, through her, the story will evolve as well.
So, okay, so for my store, my point of view, I never had this problem at all. But did you ever have any, I don't want to call it pushback, but did you ever have any reaction to the series, early series, where, like maybe someone accidentally picked it up and gave it just like because of the cartoon style and didn't realize it was, kind of a scary story? Did you have anybody be like, how dare you?
No, no, surprisingly, knock knock wooden table here. I haven't, and I think maybe part of that is, as you know, there's no inappropriate situations. There's no cuss words in anything that I write. There's nothing that goes past that line ever.
Right.
Yes, there's tension. Uh, Even for the most part, more of the exaggerated violence is going to be off panel.
True. And you think about that, it is all shadowed and off.
hmm So, just like I'd like the way I describe it a lot of times is, for those who are aware of the 1950s westerns or whatever, you would see the outline of, if someone was getting hung, you would see the tree's shadow, and you would see the person's shadow, and you would see movement or something, or you might hear it, but you don't see the rope and the eyeballs bulging out and everything like that. So that's kind of the equivalent with Stabby. A lot of stuff was off panel, and yeah, never really, yeah, the reader participates then, as you know,
Mhm.
with comics versus um, uh, prose novels, etc. The level of participation maybe is a little different across the board there, and this allows the reader with the comic book to kind of participate as well, and a lot of times what they can imagine would be worse than probably what we could depict anyway.
Yeah. And maybe it is a little bit like whatever the age of the person that was reading it, let's say a 12-year-old got a hold of it, what they can imagine for violence is really going to be different than what an adult imagines for violence. So what an adult would read into it would probably be much different. And
hmm
to be fair, it has like blood on the cover. So,
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And it is called Stabbity Bunny, not Huggy Bunny, or you know, hanging out with my furry pal. But
yeah.
but as you know too, Jen, because of Stabbity actually really being an inanimate object,
Mhm.
that left uh, uh, some people with different expectations as well. So did a spinoff of our own series called Stabbity Ever After, where he
Yeah.
falls through the portal and he falls through to fairyland and he changes. And this Stabbity can move. He still can't talk, but he can move. And of
Mhm.
course, he's got the Warner Brothers ability to pull whatever he needs from behind his back, kind of a thing. And in this case, a lot of times it's sharp implements of stabbitiness. But even those, again, um, I've had uh, so many parents where I'm like, well, there's this, and I show them the page where the unicorn gets decapitated, and they're like, oh, it's okay. She's fine with stuff like that. She watches, name your show. You're like, oh, okay,
The Walking
that's
Dead.
yes, right, with a headquarium or whatever, right? But
Mhm.
and to be fair, even the decapitated unicorn does say "oops" after his head is cut off, so it's still kind of like, So for the most part, yeah, Ryan Kincaid is the artist on that, and he's done a great job. And we're getting back together again to do the one is going from Wonderland to Oz next. So
Mhm.
and then the Wonderland Oz War, and then Neverland, and then we can go off and do anything because single issue parody is can be pretty pointed, as far as like a matrixy looking issue. As long as you don't get lost forever in that world, you can kind of move through that zone as well.
Oh, that's I love that you built such a big world. It can kind of really go anywhere at once because it's I mean, there's some kind of rules, we guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we've got on the other end, outside of that completely, is Wild Bull and Chipper, which Dwayne is really more eager to get back to that, but um, I can't really say what um, Dwayne has really concentrated more on his character design and work in animation recently,
Mhm.
and he's got some really big uh, projects that he's attached to. So really happy for him in that area. He's really
Just
done well.
guessing in my brain based on his style.
Yes, well, yes, there's I guess it says on his IMDb page there that he is um, designing characters for Freak Brothers
Hmm.
and Slippin' Jimmy.
There you go.
So of course, that coming from the uh, Saul Goodman, Better Call Saul, etc. Remember, Slippin' Jimmy was his. He told them early on in the I guess season 1 or whatever, these kids that were pulling this bike scam. He told them, what? Oh, Slippin' Jimmy, he would slip and fall, during the winter and have money, money for all summer, etc. So I think this is going to be a cartoon version of that.
So that's going to be awesome. And
Yeah.
it really does show like the breadth of his like abilities, because some of the things that we're talking about are very much all age appropriate and some are not.
Right. Yeah. Dwayne's always been great at designing characters, and it's good to see, that talent be recognized and get some other opportunities to uh, to show off what he can do. So very happy for him.
Josh
Um,
Josh just brings up a good point. It says in comics we're all accomplices. So
yes.
that's speaking to the kind of like we build things up in our brain that may or may not be implied on the page.
Absolutely. And the I think even for a TV show where we're doing even less, I think some of the TV shows we enjoy the most are those that surprise us, that allow us to I mean, if we can predict she's dropping that blue vase because it's gonna do this, and you'll see 15 minutes later, you just wait, see, told you. It's the shows that surprise us and come at something a little bit differently. um, I could dare not open this controversial can of worms, but like on the Star Treks, the range of Star Trek shows, and not that I personally feel this way or anything, but I have heard people say that like at least with Deep Space Nine, yes, you didn't go to different places every show, etc. But the characters themselves were very rich, and you didn't have to feel like you had a character centric show for them to have character development. It was going on the entire time, and I can't think of anyone that was 100% good or anyone that was 100% bad, or even 90% in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I think I watched the last of maybe the season's boys this weekend. And I was thinking to myself, am I supposed to be rooting for any of these people really?
Right. I understand. Yes. There's a couple of them. Uh, uh, I could see a case made for Starlight, I think.
I think
Um,
most of them have started to cross the line, even the ones that you're like, they'll never cross the line. They're always going to be just peachy.
yes. But yeah, I have that problem sometimes with shows, or especially um, there's a show that I won't name that come out recently, just in case it's somebody's favorite, but I just feel like besides being consistently just dark all the way through with no moments of lightness, which you need some of that. I think
Mhm.
if storytelling wise, if you don't go through a cycle, if you're just stuck in one mode the whole time, you get you get it doesn't have as much value anymore. But this one show, it's like everybody is emoting at each other, and there's no real reason why these things, you don't feel like they've built relationships, and you don't feel like there's a thing that leads to the reasons for this. It's just like, I'm emoting darkness and I'm angry too, and then they go about their business, and it cycle repeats. But
Yeah.
we've gotten far afield from the bunny. Um,
Well, it does bring it back to the bunny, though, right? So, so we have to kind of figure out for this universe for Stabity Bunny, like how much autonomy does he have, or is he always kind of like ruled by or kind of like directed by the human that's kind of attached to him? This is the thing that I'm really interested in, to see if he ever just is like, he doesn't really need somebody, he just chooses to.
Yeah, Ever After is going to explore that in a different way, because it's kind of like he's been the hero, but is he the hero because he happens to be helping a little girl,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of by default almost, if you're helping a fairly, not really anymore, helpless 7-year-old, then you're probably on the right side of the equation. But if she's removed from the situation and some arbiters decide to push him through a few other dimensions and put him through a quest to see what he does when he's solely on his own, which
Mm-hmm.
is, you've just pulled it out of me there, Jen. That's going to be happening with the Ever After bunny. So we'll get a little more idea of what's going on in his head. Of course, he was without her when he had the Gut Ghost crossover, but in the Gut Ghost universe, everybody's kind of um, multifaceted, shall we say. So yeah, for sure.
Those,
Um,
I like buddy stories.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I love how, Enzo's stories can be both really big and
Mm-hmm.
funny, and yet almost Seinfeldian in their in what the actual plot is of what's going on. And of course, they're basically getting a television in the Zabity Bunny Gut Ghost crossover, a replacement television. But yeah, and then in the at the very end, well, in issue 12, we do find out why somebody was after Grace all this time, Grace or her family all this time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they have a placeholder significance in the way things work. They might be
Oh,
called into service to be one of the larger metaphysical entities.
okay. So not, it's more important than just like uncle of the family wants to have like some influence or control over whoever is in charge of Stabity. It's bigger than that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Stabity happened because of the person pursuing that alliance, if you will,
Okay.
with Grace's family. That was as in the book it said, basically he was entrusted with a lot more power than he could really handle, and one of Grace's ancestors managed to take that from him and use her life force and soul to bind him to the bunny.
It's crazy. I love those things. All right. I've been wanting to ask you this for a while, and this is kind of like getting into the weeds, but I like weeds. So for making plush, did you go into like, I'm sure that a million people asked you, why aren't you making a plushy bunny? Because I need one.
Mm-hmm.
Did you already come from a place where you had connections and knew how to do all that stuff, or did you have to learn an entire new like thing to try to figure out how to get it manufactured, how to design part of it, and just like how difficult was it? And I think you guys did it during COVID, so it must be even crazier.
Well, that we had the little beanbag ones that were handmade
Mm-hmm.
by Heather, who lives in this area. But the other one kind of came. It was the first project by Peter Gorel, who is a Phantom Star Killer fame, etc. And he had already been working in the action figure industry through. Oh, I can't think of the name of the big toy people. Something 5. Anyway, he'd already been doing action figures and things, of course, with the Phantom Star Killer and all of that. So as you know, we had great success with the comic book version
Mhm.
of Phantom Star Killer, and it all just kind of came around. It's like, we should Scout, that we should have maybe a toy line or some we're affiliated with, and uh, Peter headed up that initiative, and he and James started put that together, and the first project that we did was the bunny. So Peter really had got those connections, found the company that would do that, worked with them, asked me for like a turnaround, et cetera, which we already had prepared, because why not be prepared. So along many years ago, like I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, we'd already done a turnaround for a full figure plush, and so that was handy. Handed that to him. Got to make choices on the materials that would be used, because
Mhm.
as you know, there's this soft part. Then there's also, the light doesn't show it too well here, but the tufted bits that needed to be a slightly different kind of material, and choices had to be made. Originally probably would have preferred, because the eyes are very important here, but
Mhm.
them to be more like marbles. But that's a whole, you can imagine, a whole different thing. So everything had to be converted into, even the teeth, not plastic, felt.
Mhm.
Everything needed to be converted material wise into something that made sense, and they did. um, just about only, I would say, they were pretty close with the first prototype they did, and the second one was really close, and a few minor adjustments on the second prototype, and they had it. Because as you know, I mean, you got the covers there behind, you got the bunnies, but that's a
Mhm.
pretty close representation there of the cover itself. So yeah.
Yeah, and
um,
faces on plushes are incredibly hard to get right. I mean, I've seen lots of bad ones. So.
Yeah, yeah, and then I've seen some of the, if somebody out there is trying to figure it out. um, I don't know, what, if Pete could point them in the right direction, but also
Mhm.
really just the Kickstarters where you see people doing plushes of their creatures. Oh, I love my Savvy plushes sitting right here on my desk. Oh, that's great,
Yay!
Carol.
Hallelujah.
And now all you need is some delicious chocolate bunny mocha
Yeah.
coffee,
Get
and
caffeinated.
you could sit back and enjoy that. While, if you, at our Kickstarter, we're going to be doing printer plates
Yes.
of the trade. So that's going to
Mhm.
have issues 7 through 12 plus Emmett story, and this is of course Agent of World. Probably can recognize that a little bit if you get any
Mhm.
closer there. But the printer plates are the actual aluminum printer plates used to make the comic. That we take those, because those are really huge, and bring them down to a manageable size. And that was another James Hake idea. It's like, oh look, these are going for aluminum recycle, but they're one of a kind pieces of comic book history. Maybe we could get those,
Mhm.
and
And
yeah, and the
bring them.
rest. Yeah, absolutely, we love them, and the comic plates have started to do really well for us, and I think it's a nice little thing. I mean, you know, I'm the only person that has this page, the yellow plate. So it's definitely, it's not original art, but it's a process piece, which is really cool. I'm wearing my hair razor bunny shirt right now. Oh, great, Jenna.
Jenna is
Yeah,
a huge
we
fan.
we we had so much fun with those, with the covers that we've done, of course, for the
Mhm.
bunny. And I must admit, like the, instead of the puzzle box, doing the Rubik's cube and the hair razor and whatever, I um, came up with those things, and always have great partners with, either, for the most part, it's been Dwayne did a lot of them. Clara Meath stepped up and did a couple. She did the uh, Spider-Man 129, and she also did, um, gosh, the Akira one.
Oh yeah, I remember those. Those are the
Yeah.
bomb. All right. So how long do people have? Like they need to fit this in their lives, and they can't miss the end of this
Right.
Kickstarter. And how long they can put on the calendar?
24 more days. I believe it's August. You got me here, because it's either August 3rd or 4th, depending on where it hit on the calendar. I forget exactly, but it's August 3rd or 4th. Let's say 3rd, because that'll be safe. Um, but you
I'm
have about
guessing. you should do it now, because if you don't, it's a convention weekend this weekend, and then the following weekend is San Diego Comic-Con, and you're going to be stuck to the YouTubes and other things if you're not actually going. So you might accidentally miss it if you don't get after it. So do it now.
Not to mention, there are some limited tiers. There is one mega tier there's only one of. But yeah, we're going to be introducing if you get on early, then you also get all the updates. So you'll find out as far as there are going to be some special add-ons and things that we put on the add-on list that are going to be very limited. So it's going to be first come, first serve on that. So even if you can't quite decide, get yourself a placeholder tier of some sort and get in there. We've got the Ralph Singh cover, which turned out incredibly nice. I don't really have anything here to show you on that front, but if you go to the Scabby Bunny Kickstarter, you'll find it. So that is easiest route is scoutcomics.com.
We got links up in the comments.
Oh,
so
the easiest route is to go ahead and just click on that link then.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. We've had a lot of fun with it. We can't wait to show you what other things we'll be coming out with. At the 10,000 mark, we've got a very special add-on, which, unlike an add-on where it's not going to where it's like a postcard, which is like one of our first ones. We've got a really great postcard. This is going to be an entire comic book. A variant cover of one of the Stabby Bunny issues will be free to all physical backers if we reach the 10,000.
Oh wow! That's
so
cool.
Yeah, and then other things to watch out for. We've got, rumor has it, we've got the VHS. We got a VHS version finally coming out of the bunny, and let me see. I can kind of.
Yes, I never really noticed that we didn't have that yet.
Yeah, we didn't have a medal either until the coffee. So yeah, the bunny's catching up on some of those covers there. But let me see if I can find this. And
actually, we've run out of time. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, okay then. All right.
Like blew by like no one's business.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate it. Talking with you. You was always fun, Jen. And like I said, we're gonna have to meet up at a convention sometime.
I'll be at San Diego if you're going out there.
Yes, I'll be there.
Perfect. We'll get our hug in finally.
That's right. That's right. Long time coming.
That's right. All right, everybody, make sure you support this awesome Kickstarter. It is a way for you to be able to read the legendary issue number 12 before anybody else. So you should definitely get in there and do that. Stay tuned though, because we have another interview coming up. Make sure you give thumbs and hearts to Richard because he's amazing. But we have Enrica Jen coming up next. Don't miss it. See you in a second.
All right.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, hello there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome, everybody. It's Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in a minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadets.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody! Welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. Is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
everybody, and welcome back to Talkin Shop. I'm an incredibly proud mama. When you guys see that the lead-in bump with the rocket and the blowing up microphone and stuff, that's the work of my son, who, I don't know, at the age 17, 18, decided he wanted to spend all his money on 3D animation software and a giant computer. So that's how that happened. So follow your dreams, kids. You can make things. You just got to get after it. All right. Welcome to the show, Enrica J.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Oh, my gosh. Your hair looks so good.
Oh, well, thank you. I did bathe today. I was, that's actually a big deal.
Last time I saw you had a little shortcut, yes?
I had like pandemic hair for a few years. Like it was like down to my hips for a little while, and then chop. So
it looks great.
Thank you.
All right, so I heard a rumor that we're gonna get more crossing, which I'm a pretty obsessed person about this book, and I don't know how many times I've ordered from you, but like I'm literally down to 2 copies. I didn't realize until now. This is a spectacular story idea. I mean, it's just like so killer.
Thank you so much. Well, you kept so many people going. Like, I know pandemic's like old story for most, like a lot of people, but for me, it was such a traumatic time, and you kept everything going for such a really long time. And then just sort of, you were mom for everybody and just kind of got us through. And so we're launching our Kickstarter for the sixth issue tonight on your show in like, what is it, like 10 minutes? So I'm like, my finger is hovering over the green button and it's going to launch.
Let's give everybody like the super buzz so that they can like be, because I know everyone likes to be the first in the room, right? Because they're like, I was cool before everybody else. So give everybody kind of like the loose story of what The Crossing is about.
Crossing is a story of an annoying goth princess haunting the rookie train conductor who ran her over. She says her death was a murder made to look like a suicide, and she won't leave him alone until he helps her solve her case. So we've been sort of nursing this series along for the last 5+ years, and this is the 6th issue and the first arc. And it was one of those things that's a mini series that it's about an afterlife, but it took on a life of its own. And we're really looking forward to volume 2, if we can get this next issue funded. So I never want to take that for granted and knock on wood and all that other stuff. But
we got the back.
Yeah, Alex Cormack is the penciler on this, and folks know him from Sync. People know him from Road of Bones. Mark Mullaney has been the color and letter guy for the entire series. And this year we're welcoming Rachel Persephone and Justin Birch, Ringo Award-nominated letterer, on this book to send off our Volume 1. So I'm really excited for the 6th installment. And it was a long time coming. It's one of those things. I think all of us, again, pandemic. I feel like it was. I'm still there. I'm still stuck there. But it was such a hard, like, just difficult time, and to be able to come out on the other side of this, and I know we're still struggling, but still to be able to do this, it's a really big deal for us. So yeah,
it was an interesting time because everyone. In the early days when people where there was a truly a hard shutdown when they wouldn't allow anyone to go into their own businesses and those kinds of things, there was this weird disconnectedness for us as comic book store owners. Our whole purpose in life was finding really great stories and carrying them for our customers. And we know that even outside of pandemic times that they are a way for people to escape from everyday drama, and they bring people joy. So I know that for you on your end, you have a story to tell and it needs to get somewhere. And I felt at that time that there was a real need for those things to continue to be able to get out. And so I was really thankful that there were so many independent creators that kind of said, oh yeah, we're going to still keep going. We're not stopping doing anything. And you guys think that the retailers helped you out, but we as retailers looked at you guys and said, you saved us, because a store with nothing new in it is just kind of a secondhand store, right? It loses some of its magic.
Well, you know that whole thing about if everybody could put their problems in the middle and you could choose anybody else's problems, you'd probably take your own back. Like I cannot imagine what it was like for stores and for indie folks and for we launched a Kickstarter for another series the day most of the country shut down. That was our campaign for Ninja Bear, and nobody knew what the heck was going on. And we know so much now, and we were still wiping down groceries and still like I remember you were like leaving boxes to sit in the back room that you were getting from all over the country because we had no clue what the heck was going on. Yep. And all of that time. But I feel like we did come together during that time. And even the book is about that. Like when you're stuck with folks and you have to just make stuff work, right? You don't have the same choices that you had. You don't have the same options that you had. So you just have to get through it. And I think that for better or for worse, that's where we all were. And for better, because I met you. And I'm excited to see you in San Diego in a couple of weeks.
I have so many hugs that I'm ready to give. You have no idea. Okay, so the thing, I want to brag on you a lot. So I mean, like when you tell like kind of the pitch for the book, it is a great pitch. But I honestly went into the book kind of blind. And so I had that kind of like, Luke, I am your father moment, where for the first few pages, the way that it's written, if you're not paying attention, it is not clear that she is not a live human being that's just an annoying girl. And when that moment hits you, you're like, this is brilliant.
Thank you. No, well, I mean, just people will be able to see like the first 8 preview pages from that first issue, but it is like a hookup gone wrong at the beginning. And something's gone on between these two, but they're like half naked in his apartment. And he's like, girl, you've got to go. And she's like, no, this meant something. This is important. And you just see that interaction. And then
it is not a love match from the beginning.
Indeed.
But there's always hope, right? I think that all really great stories it's like kind of like the moonlighting thing. Like it's great to have the main characters kind of be on each other's nerves all the time, but you have hope. You have hope always.
Yes. And I tell people that too, like some of the best lines, and I have to give credit where it's due, some of the best lines come from my husband, David, because he does give me a hard time, and it is a love match, but we give each other a really tough time. And so some of the stuff back and forth between the two of them, it was a lot of fun to sort of like put that on there. And then because I'm the one writing it, I get to choose who wins the argument. So that's always fun too. But life of a writer, you get to writer's prerogative. You get to do that. So
there you go. Now there's a little bit of actual life happening in these books. So so we're on issue 6 is what's really the important part of this Kickstarter. So is this the end of the story arc?
This will be the end of arc 1. And again, one of those things where, and I remember talking to Mark about this and Alex about this. You wanted to get like a mini series out and just kind of put out this project, but I think partly because of the pandemic and Kickstarter, the nature of it, I think people who run Kickstarters, or if you've gotten to know some of the creators on a campaign, you really do reach out to each other, and because every day you're aware that all of the people who are contributing to your campaign are making your dreams come true. Like they are buying into this thing with you. They become very important, special people to you. I've met some really, really great friends on Kickstarter, especially through the crossing campaigns, and they've stuck with us. And they also kick my butt. Everyone's like, where's this next issue? Where's this next thing? And so you hear from folks, and the fact that people are pulling from you, that means so much, especially when you're indie and you're just out here just trying to get just books out. And then there's just a community of other creators that you meet on Kickstarter, because you got to back other projects if you're coming onto this platform. You can't just show up on day one. You're like, I've never backed any projects, and here I am. Give me money. Like you have to be supporting your community too. And so over the years, just built this really great group of folks. You don't want it to be over. You don't want to just pull in the station and just be done. So it's taken on a life of its own, and we gave people opportunities to be in the comic. And because you don't know who's going to come in and jump in to be a character, suddenly the story went in a completely different direction, and a new arc was born out of the fact that I was expecting one kind of personality to buy in and be our bad guy, and then instead we get this like just go and completely different direction. And that was because the Kickstarter, because of the randomness of that happening. So we got a new arc in the works, and if we can get this campaign funded, we're going into volume 2 on this. So yeah.
JD Smith, who's an artist, says, I write and I still lose all my arguments, which is hilarious.
Sorry. No, that sounds like something we could talk about that.
I do want to like point out to a lot of people, like some people look at Kickstarters and say to themselves, like, I feel kind of pressured to get the most expensive or the most fancy stuff in it. But the real truth is that everyone that looked at a Kickstarter just backed it at like $5 or whatever they would make. You just got to be in the room and be willing to lay down, enough money for a coffee, and everyone else and people's stuff can get made.
That is absolutely true. It's absolutely true. I've talked to a lot of creators who also feel this way. Like they have friends who, because the friends can't give a lot, they're almost embarrassed to like throw in $1 or throw in $5 for something. And it's like, dude, just the fact that you're there, just the fact that you show up, like those numbers are such an important part too. So just a body in the room, like you are helping, and there's no contribution too small when it comes to this stuff, because like that's the way algorithms work, that's the way. And so the money is important, but the bodies are important too. And so that definitely know that if you have a friend who's a creator, or when you become a creator and you're on Kickstarter, you're going to find that any crowdfunding, that's those numbers, getting those people in, just people knowing that people are listening, and the fact that they care enough to contribute, that means everything. It means everything.
And JD's also mentioned something, and I'm gonna take a different kind of advocate position on this. He said that you touch on something that needs to be stressed. Those asking for help but haven't backed a single project automatically become reluctant to back them because it makes them feel snobby. And I always say to myself, if someone is asking for backing but has not backed other things, I just feel like they're overwhelmed and are so focused on making their project they just haven't had time to look at anyone else's stuff. So I don't ever like assess like some kind of negativity to someone hasn't done a thing when they're asking you to do a thing. It's just like they just can't do that thing right now. They've got other stuff going on in their life. Maybe they're raising like 20 kids and have like a house full of foster children, and I just assume that they got other things that they have to do.
Well, if you care about comics and you care about that stuff, even that dollar to like buy into the campaigns, like those things count. And so it's like, no, you might not be able to give a lot. But the fact that you're giving your attention and your time and that boost and that support, again, it's a numbers game. That stuff matters. So, and it comes back. I think there's some folks that believe that, there are only so many people in the room, and if they share their audience or stuff like that. And I think 9 times out of 10, you find like the more supportive you are, the more that comes back to you. And I'm completely humbled and overwhelmed by the folks that have supported us. We only have so much time for social media, and before it takes over your life. And if you've got a job and you've got all this work, you're not plugged in to this stuff. But the good news is that like Kickstarter makes that easy. Like lets you notify, like say you want to be notified on launch. If people want to hear from you, sign up for your newsletter, that kind of stuff. All those things matter. And it's those little things that add up and can mean a lot for a creator. It means a lot for us.
So Ian's here and he's very excited. Is it time to hit the green button?
Time to hit the green button. No, we're 4 minutes late hitting the green button. All right, so
they're losing their minds. They're like, I keep refreshing it.
My screen here, but it says ready to launch with this big star on the top here. So here we go. I've read the details, the terms of use, privacy, poly, and Kickstarter rules. We are launching. Drum roll, please. Don't freak.
Let's
it's on.
Let's see who gets to be the first backer. I bet you it's Kyle. Let's see.
It's Kyle. Bodies count, man. Bodies. We need the bodies. Thank you so much for letting me do this. This is awesome. Thank you.
All right. So now that it's live, can you describe what kind of like what the different kind of tiers look like?
Well, our goal is to try to get this issue out for Baltimore Comic-Con. Wearing my Orioles t-shirt tonight, and not only are trains a big part of this this series. If you love, there are a lot of train fans out there. B&O Railroad Museum, home of the B&O Railroad Museum. I'm from Ohio. I live in Baltimore, so it's actually really fun for me, and a little bit of that action takes place. But then a little baseball in this issue. So excited to sort of bring this full circle. And I think we've dropped hints through the series that this is important. We have a new collector's box. This is the 6th issue. We've had 2 variants, the Ghost Vision variant, the Invisible Woman variant. And so we have a collector's box that's going to wrap all of this stuff together, and then various tiers, a couple of limited tiers if you want in. If you've been with us for a while and you're just like finishing up your collection, we're going to give you an opportunity to do that. If you're brand new to this series, you want all of the issues, we've given plenty of opportunities for that. Lots of digital, lots of print, and a lot of both, because everybody pick your poison. That's how everybody's reading comics. They want everything. But yeah, I'm really, really, really excited for this. And because we have those new guest artists on this issue, we've got a couple more rewards that are going to be unlocked as this campaign goes on, whether they're stretch goals or not. Again, I never want to take anything for granted. We've got some milestone goals planned. We've got some stretch goals planned if we are lucky to get that far. And yeah, excited about that.
So, okay. So here's another thing for you guys to do that are watching. Here's a big deal. So there are other ways you can support creators. Like, there you go. So there is only so much space that a lot of comic book stores have available for books. And they kind of choose what they put on their racks by kind of like listening to what you guys want, right? So if you feel like high quality books like Crossing deserve place on the rack of your LCS, then you need to go and tell them and show them what the quality of the book is, so that they can say, oh, this is really an amazing project. And it would be, I mean, it has an easy pitch and it's easy to hand to somebody and say, you know, how about this crazy train wreck, literally, of a book, relationship book? You need it.
You need it.
That's what we're going to just call it. We need to like put it on a rack and just say crazy train wreck relationship book.
Paranormal train wreck relationship book. Yes.
There you go. That's it. Kyle's the first. He says he's back first.
Thank you. That is true. When it comes to distribution, I think that you've seen a lot of different outfits kind of like rise and fall. True. Trying to kind of, there's we don't say the M word, monopoly. We don't say that one word with the company that you order most of the comics from. But I think for a lot of indies, that's the biggest struggle, getting that distribution. And I think Kickstarter and other crowdfunding makes that possible. Even Webtoon, like, you get this global audience that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to reach. There's no way. So I do find a lot of people shopping for indie on crowdfunding, but those campaigns are limited, right? And so if you do have something, that's absolutely true. If you do have something wherever you are and you've got a shop in your community there, word of mouth is a big deal. And it still really matters. And there are only so many times we can call these comic shops and beg them, plead with them, please.
The cold call.
The cold call.
I love them unless they're on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then I'm like, do your homework.
I have no time for you. I have no time for you. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And nobody likes phone calls anymore anyway, so
I am one of those really rare people that really am jazzed when creators call me. And it's so funny when they do call and I'm like, yes, how are you? Tell me about your thing. They're like, what just happened? Because I hear they get hanged up.
Shows are obviously really great too. And so we, that P word again, the pandemic, like, we're doing fewer shows, but we'll be out at San Diego Comic-Con. We'll be in small press, K2. And then, unfortunately, we'll be in Baltimore weekend of New York Comic-Con, but Baltimore Comic-Con is in October. And so that's when we're hoping that this new issue will be out and ready for that show. But your local conventions too, look for gold. In small press, look for gold in Artist Alley, and you'll find some really great stuff. There's some folks that are just doing some amazing books right now.
Yeah, I do. I always feel sad when you see people like just buzzing by the area as fast as they can, like it was going to give them comic cooties, when that area is literally where all of those big books that you buy originated. Those people were once people sitting in those aisles hawking their $5 comic book and their $25 t-shirt. There's a lot of people that started their careers in there. So someday you might be like, oh, I knew Enrica when she was making the crossing, and now she's writing X-Men. So there.
It's always free to look. That's the great thing about shows, right? It's always free to look. So I tell people that when they come.
I literally used to hand things to people, and they put them like, oh no.
There is that fear because like the sales pitch works, right? Somebody's going to corner you and like you're going to feel like you have to like give them every cent you have in your college fund to buy comics and stuff. But when the stories are good, they're worth it. Like that feeling of finding a good book, that never goes away. And so that's why we're all here, right? Like you love comics. There's a story that moved you, and you become a creator because this stuff moved you and you wanted to create these things that you love so much. You're going to connect with somebody who feels the same way, and you will find really good stories out there, including mine. So there you go.
So I've got a question from one of our viewers that's watching from the Twitch. Do you find that your booth does better at like big shows like San Diego or local small shows?
I am very spoiled given where I live because Baltimore is so close to very big markets. So it's actually hard to say. Like we can be at Awesome Con in DC. Kyle was actually out for Red Stylo at Awesome Con about a month ago. We're very close to Philadelphia. We're close to New York. So we tend to do those bigger shows. But from Ohio and mid-Ohio before it got bought up and a couple of those other smaller shows. That's hard to quantify. I don't think that is so much. I do think that there's certain shows that definitely focus on the celebrities, and we know which one those are. And so those shows are really tough to do. So when my hometown show was bought out by the bigger chain, when you can't make table at your hometown show because the focus is somewhere else.
Bigger's
on
not
those autographs. That part's hard, but. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Just depends on stuff. And I think location, sometimes you feel like location, like your booth location matters, that kind of thing. But if you're talking to people, a little bit of like trade craft creator stuff. I think that I was doing shows. I've been doing comics now for almost 12 years, and I was doing a lot of shows, and you start to get a little bit lazy. You start to like sit back and like watch the people go by and you're having a good time, but you're not engaging enough with the folks who are walking past because you're afraid that they don't want to talk to you. And some of them, they don't know that they want to talk to you, and you've got to get that book out in front of them. Tell them brand new series. You want to check it out. It's free to look and be open and be available to answer these questions and get in front of folks. What do you like to read? What do you like to do? And I found that over time, I wasn't hustling as much as I should have been. And then I was next to Henri Campagne, and I was next to Wannabe Press, and those guys book, like they sell, and you just have to be on top of it. So that was an inspiration to like get up, stop like worrying about the phone, stop worrying about like going to buy all the stuff around the room, and like make sure you're connecting with every single person who passes the table. And it does get hard because it hurts your feelings sometimes when people don't have time. But when you do connect, it's a really big deal. So, hey, and thank you.
You're the best. Perfect. All right, we've run out of time, but do share. We already have all your Kickstarter links up there, so people have been already over there and backing it. If someone wanted to just follow you to see what you're up to and where you're going to be appearing next, what's the best social media for them?
Everything gets uploaded to redstylo.com. All of the events that we're planning, we are coming out of my shell a bit. I was not doing as many shows, but that is slowly changing. So again, San Diego in 2 weeks, we'll be in small press K2. We really hope to see folks, and this campaign will be going on during that time. So we've got some freebies for our backers who come and see us at that show, and we've got some fun stuff to pass out to you right at the show. If you come out to Baltimore Comic-Con, but redstylo.com, find us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, Instagram's hard, but we're there too. So
I feel you. I'm an old person, so I use Facebook like an old person does.
I use Twitter. There's like some technology that I feel like I'm like blinded by. I haven't figured it quite out yet, but we're out there. Please come and find us.
Oh my goodness. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you giving the time to us to be able to come in, be on the show, and for launching here. Super big honor for us. We love
see
that
you in
so
San Diego. Please come and see me.
Yes. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Talking Shop. Do remember to subscribe and hit that bell and give the notifications so you don't ever miss any of these crazy fun things like launches where you get to be the first people in the room. All right. Bye, y'all.
Okay,
See you
thank
later.
you so much. Appreciate it.
Let's go.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.